All right, and then actually we have about 1 minute and then we'll start in 1 minute. So if you
Okay.
want to put anything in the chat.
Yeah, did you start, are you taping now?
Yes, so we're recording. So if you guys want to put where you're from in the chat.
Does it actually record the chat too, hopefully?
It doesn't record the chat, but so we can just say it for people that are watching it later. Solveitforkids.com.
Yeah, it's under the teacher tab. So yeah, so I'll talk about that. Are you ready for me to start or?
I am, we can
Oh,
start.
okay. Well, good evening, everybody. My name is Jennifer Swanson, and I am excited to be here with you tonight. Some of you may know me because I've presented for Fast Five before. I'm going to go ahead and, let's see, share my screen because I have a PowerPoint presentation slideshow from the beginning. Yay, okay. So hopefully everybody can see that. This is me, children's author. I'm a middle school science teacher. I teach online for Johns Hopkins University, and I'm a science geek, as you can see. This is a picture of me with the Robonauts, and then this is a picture of me. I actually went to Geneva, Switzerland last year and visited CERN. So this is me in front of the Alice detector. If you've heard of me before, you might know that I write children's books. These are some of the books that I've written. I've written about, I guess, 48 now. A teacher told me last week. She must have counted them all. As you can see, I'm mostly STEM focused. I love science, technology, all these kinds of things. There is a World War II book, though, in there, which comes from my background I was a graduate of the Naval Academy. You might have heard, this is my new book, Beastly Bionics. It's Get Outside and Get Inventing. It's all about biomimicry and how kids can go outside and look at animals and then try to create really cool, fun robots with them. But that's not what I'm talking about tonight. Tonight, I'm talking about getting creative with digital STEM activities. And this is gonna be fairly casual. What I want to do is I've talked to a lot of teachers. I've been doing some virtual school visits and stuff. And first of all, you guys are doing an amazing job in not great situations. I know some of you are in the classroom, some of you are at home, some are doing multiple. I'm in Jacksonville, so we have all versions of that. So what I thought I would do is just give you a bunch of resources that you might be able to use in the classroom or assign to kids outside the classroom to kind of help keep their interest up in science right now and in excitement. If they can't do experiments or whatever, maybe these are some cool things they can do at home without you having to give them all step by step. So that's kind of what I'm going to do. I'm going to give a bunch of resources. Like we said in the beginning, I have put all, so you don't have to like type and write down all these web pages that I'm going to send you to. If you go to my solveitforkids.com website and you click on the teacher tab, then you'll see a hot link to the PDF file that has all of these links in there. So then you don't have to worry about all that. Okay. So the type of digital STEM resources I'm going to talk about tonight: videos that encourage explorations for students on their own, or maybe you can use them in the classroom. It depends on, what your curriculum, what you're working on. Activities they can do at home while watching the videos to guide them. And then we're going to talk a little bit about podcasts. And I don't know, it's tough to tell whether kids listen to podcasts or don't. I'm hearing different things. But some of these new podcasts that have come out are really great to have kids listen to and talk to about science. And they can actually submit questions and all this cool stuff too. So we're going to start with the first one. So I don't know, some of you may have heard of some of these resources. Some of these might be new. This is Crash Course. Crash Course is for a little bit older grades, like maybe 6th grade and up. These these have been around for a while, but they've added so many. These are YouTube videos that describe tons of different topics in a fun, kid-friendly way. I mean, they have everything on here for science, anatomy, biology, chemistry, ecology. This one is engineering. You can see there's the future of engineering. Okay, there we go. The future of engineering, engineering and design, all of these different types of things, marine engineering, which interestingly enough, I had a parent ask me about writing a book about marine science, engineering, and how you build naval ships someday. So these are great. The videos, I think, are maybe 10 minutes long, so they're very short. They're all scripted and kind of cartoony, so the kids love them. If you're looking for Crash Course for younger kids, they have Crash Course Kids, which is about 5th grade science. They talk about all these different things: gravity, matter, food, engineering, all these different things. You can find these on YouTube. And I actually, if you want to get an idea of what the person the host is, I just downloaded this little video. We'll listen to this.
Well, hello there. Welcome to Crash Course Kids. I'm Sabrina, and I'll be your host as we explore the incredible world of science. We'll cover topics like animals, including predators, prey, and food chains. We'll dive deep into the ocean and soar into the atmosphere. Oh, and teachers, check out the description below for information about the standards in these videos. Yep, we've got you covered. Join me twice a week on Crash Course Kids, and don't forget to go to youtube.com/crashcoursekids and subscribe. Who's ready to get started?
So the cool thing about that is you can tell that they're really upbeat and exciting. And again, they're short, so the attention span doesn't have to be very long. You know, you can use these as having kids, if you need kids to like look at science, but you don't have time to do a whole curriculum, you could have them watch these and then discuss it or do different things with it. Or maybe you have that really sciencey kid that isn't getting enough science in the curriculum that's going on right now. You can point them to these. Of course, there's NASA, STEM resources, space science, engineering, and math. And I just picked the one for students 9 to 12, but NASA has stuff for kids for all ages. As you can see at the top, we have higher education. I love this one, take a virtual trip to Mars. There's tons of awesome stuff. And of course, we all love NASA because it's right, well, one of them, Kennedy Space Center is right here. So this is a great place for kids to go if you want to give them extra things to kind of engage them and have them do videos and so forth. Let's see. This one, I don't know if many of you know about. I am originally from Illinois, and the Shedd Aquarium is one of my favorite places to go visit. And they just started doing all of these Sea Curious videos. And they are so awesome. Of course, they use the animals. So these are perfect for the younger grades too. We have, do animals play? What animals have superpowers? What does animal poop look like? I mean, who doesn't want to watch that one, right? So these are all really fun videos that you can have the kids look at or give them extra things to do. And then maybe they come back and talk about it. You do a discussion, or they write a little report or draw pictures. I mean, let's think about this. We could have them draw different pictures of the animal poop that they learned about. Why not? Or talk about the animal superpowers. I think this is I've watched a couple of these. They're really fun. And of course, who doesn't like penguins, right? Then, of course, the Smithsonian Institution has tons of stuff, and not just science. They have history, they have art. They actually have activities for kids to do too, and games. So if you look at this one, this is, let's see if I can say that one, Aquation, the freshwater access game. You can look at the distribution of fresh water in the world's events and all of these different things. You can watch live cams of animals in this National Zoo. Disaster detector, where you can, kids can figure out what they're doing, what if something's coming, maybe a hurricane or an earthquake, all this kind of stuff. So there's tons of things. And even if all you do is give this list to your parents because they're looking for their kids to have more science outside of the classroom or whatever, these are all great places for kids to go, and they're all, they're all vetted. So we're all getting very good information, right? Like we know that all this stuff is true, and it's fun. It's in a kid-friendly language. And then, of course, there is NASA's Jet Propulsion Lab. This is more engineering in the classroom. They have different grade levels from K to 12, but these are more like activities and stuff that you can do. And you can even use these in the classroom as well. We have, let's see if I can see, the thing is in my way. I don't know if I can see that. All of these different, I guess I didn't do a very good screenshot here, but there's a bunch of different ones about the Mars rover and how, what it's like to blast off a rocket and how it goes through the atmosphere and all these cool things. And I'm sure we all do, you do lots of space stuff down here, considering where we are. Okay, so those were a lot of the videos that you can access for kids or, point them to. Like I said, I'm basically just giving you a bunch of resources. You can, of course, use them, not use them, however it works into your classroom. These next ones are experiments that kids can do at home. Of course, if they watch Bill Nye the Science Guy, I think he's on Netflix and PBS, and he has like 3 or 4 different TV shows now. And he also has a huge website with all this information. But I don't know if you've heard of Emily's Wonder Lab. That is a new one by Emily Calandrelli, and she is now on Netflix. But she actually does stuff, the cool stuff like making bubbles and a slime and, blowing things up, like making the earthquake or the volcanoes, all that kind of stuff. Of course, there's Science Kids on PBS, and this is a link where if you go to that link, they have all of the activities and their videos. So if you have kids that really want to do experiments and it's not possible to do them in the classroom, they can do it at home. The parents will love it, but hey, I mean, I had science kids and I was right there doing science experiments with my kids at home, and it was really cool. And then of course, I'm sure a lot of you already know about Steve Spangler Science, which is a great place to do this. So these are all fun things. The other cool thing, I mean, if there is a cool thing about COVID, is that a lot of these museums you can now visit virtually. And on a lot of these museum websites, they also have activities and they have little videos that talk about science and answer questions. This link up here takes you to, I think there's a list of 10 museums, the top 10, I think it's like the best 10 museums to visit virtually. And these are a list of some of them. Of course, they're all the children's museums. But it's really cool because even if, you can't travel right now or, maybe you can't as a kid get to the Boston Children's Museum, which is really amazing, by the way. You can see it and kind of experience it. So a lot of them have done more things with their videos to kind of make it sort of interactive with the museums so that you can see things going on and kind of feel like you're there. And like I said, if you go to their websites, then you could do all of their activities and so forth. So it's really fun. Okay. I am going to see if I can read the chat. The last time I did that before, it kicked me out of my thing. Let's see. Yep, it did. Oh, okay. So we're going to do that again from the current slide. Okay, there we go. So for some reason, Zoom, at least for me, won't let me read the chat. So I'll discuss. I see some of you are making comments. We'll do it at the end. And by the way, at the end, hopefully you'll stay around long enough. I'm going to give away 2 books. I'm going to give away Beastly Bionics and Astronaut Aquanaut, and I'm going to ask you to put your name in the chat at the end. And then I'll draw, I think I'll spin the wheel as Amy suggested. Okay. So the other thing I want to talk about is podcasts. So there's a couple of different podcasts that you can look at. Podcasts, it's kind of funny. I saw a stat that like the number of podcasts that started up over the COVID, from the lockdown, like in March, it's like exponential. Like there's so many podcasts that have started since then. I guess everybody was bored and they were like, hey, I'm going to create a podcast. So there's a lot of really cool stuff. But the first two would actually be for teachers like you. So if you are looking for cool things to do in your classroom or tips from other teachers, Chris Woods does the STEM Everyday podcast. I don't know if you follow him, but he is awesome. Every single day, he either has a teacher tip, a post on his blog, or he does a mini podcast. And they're like 5 or 10 minutes long, and he gives you some really cool things to use in your classroom. This is STEM Everyday number 181. So he's been doing it for a while. And it's creating with cardboard. And it's an actual kind of activity that you can do in the classroom. He gives you all of the information, and then you can find him at dailystem.com. But if you are on Twitter, I highly recommend that you follow him, because he will have tips throughout the day. He'll have, like, he goes to the grocery store and then takes pictures of things and asks kids like, hey, have your kids do the math on the side of the cereal box, right? Or engineering, and he goes through the like Home Depot and all this kind of stuff. So it's a way to just kind of get your kids to talk to your students about how science and engineering is everywhere. It's all around you. It's everything that you do. And he's really fun. If you listen to him on his podcast, he's very engaging. He keeps them short. They don't go really long, which I know your time is valuable. But this is a really great one to check out. And he is, he's just very, very passionate about STEM. Here's another one I came across. This is John Spencer. He's a former middle school science teacher, now professor. And he has some really cool tips for virtual learning. If you are the teacher that's doing virtual learning and you're trying to engage with the science, I suggest looking at this website too. Like this one is using scavenger hunts to get students moving in virtual learning. And so this can go for K through 12. In fact, I think one of these is for high schoolers, where he actually has them, it's like, as you well know, because if you're doing virtual learning, you're on the computer all day, but maybe you give them a break and you have them do scavenger hunts around the house or in the garage or wherever they are out in the backyard to kind of, of course they have purpose. It's not just fun. But it's different things that they're looking at, and he can set up, it can be geography, it can be science, but there's all these different things that he has for recommendations for virtual learning that I took a look at this website, and it's a really good one. I think it's fun. But again, those two are for teachers, not for kids necessarily. And then a podcast as a teaching tool. So some of these podcasts would be what you could use. And you could definitely use it in an in-person class. You might want to take a look at how long the podcasts are and so forth. But I think these also would be great for maybe to give kids as homework to listen to at night, and then they read and write the next morning, or they draw pictures. Of course, these are going to be for a little bit older students, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th graders, high schoolers, whatever. The difference between the videos and a podcast is really, a podcast is more about two or three people having an interview, and they're kind of talking. And not all podcasts have videos. A lot of them are just sound. So you're just hearing the audio. And the reason why that can kind of be good is because, as you guys know, like everybody these days everything is just video. We're bombarded with video. So the good thing about podcasts is you can almost close your eyes and listen and imagine. And it's a way to get kids to use their imagination and have them paint the picture in their head that they're hearing these people talking about. So this is how, and it also gets kids asking questions instead of being shown the picture of whatever's being talked about, like a lionfish, for example. They have to imagine what it looks like. And then you could actually do, well, what do you think a lionfish looks like? Why don't you draw me a picture? And then you could show them what this lionfish looks like and kind of talk about the differences, you know, like all of these different things. So this is where a podcast can be kind of a cool, different resource to use in your classroom. Here's a couple of them that are really good. So Brains On, this one, actually they use kids, and kids talk a lot about this. In fact, I think as kids you can send in questions and all of these different things. They have tons of old episodes. It's almost overwhelming to figure out where to start. So it's kind of funny when you go to their website, they actually have like, do you not know where to start? And then you can click on that to figure out where to start. But they have some really cool topics, like, can you dig to the center of the earth? Do plants have feelings? I love that. And the secret world of dust. So this involves a different kid every time, and then there's an adult host. And these are, like I said, all audio. But they do have some supplemental materials on their website that you can use and all this kind of stuff. And you can get kids interactive in it. I think these run about 20 minutes, maybe, something like that. Here's another one, Tumble Science Podcast for Kids. And this one is hosted by two adults, a science journalist and a teacher. But again, it's fun, and there's lots of cool topics that they discuss, and these go for maybe about 20 to 30 minutes, but they have the case of the sleeping trees, the rise of the dinosaurs, all of these different things. And they've even include this pod course at the bottom where kids can enroll and kind of go around their backyards and discover things and all this kind of stuff. Now that might not be something that you would do through your classroom, but again, if you have that extra curious kid who wants to go and figure out science and like hands-on and all that kind of stuff, like that was me when I was a kid, you know, these are all great resources that you can push out and let the parents handle, right? The parents can give them stuff. And then the other one is Solve It for Kids, which is actually, I admit, I started a podcast over COVID. I do this with my co-host, Jed Doherty. And so this came out of, I have been a children's author and writing science and nonfiction books for about 10 years. And in my career, I have been so lucky to talk to and meet all of these amazing scientists and engineers. And the one thing that I found is that they're all passionate about what they do. They're like you amazing teachers. They love what they do and they're passionate about it. And I wanted to figure out a way to get kids to kind of feel that and hear them. And of course, I write books about them, but that's different from hearing them. So, and the other part of this is I want kids to understand that the scientists, engineers have to solve problems, right? Like you and I both know that the cool stuff that might be, you know, in my Beastly Bionics book, like this, let's see if you can see that. Okay, so you see the gecko here, turning it into the robot up there. Gecko, that can take years, 5, 6, 7 years to do, and many, many, many failures over and over and over to figure out what they're doing. So that's kind of the thing that I wanted to get across in the podcast. So it gives kids a peek into the real life world of scientists, engineers, and experts. So it's STEM and it's also STEAM. I aligned it to the NGSS standards. We have great examples of STEM and STEAM jobs. Here are a couple. This is Dr. Darlene Lim. She works for NASA, and she is at the moment right now trying to solve the problem of how are we going to communicate with astronauts on Mars. And so they're doing this and like next to the volcano, like these stark areas in Hawaii, because that's the one place on the planet, on our planet, that's closest to the communication issues they might have with Mars. This is Dr. Gene Van Buren. He works at Brookhaven Lab. So this is the particle accelerator behind him, one of the detectors. This is Shaw Selby. He is a conservation technologist, which he basically created his own job. He was an engineer and then decided he wanted to get into conservation, so he created his own job. which is also something that I think is cool to tell kids about as well. These are short enough to use in the classroom. And then at the end of each one of these, if you go to the website, we have challenges. So if the kids were to do the challenge, I ask every one of our experts to have the kids do a challenge. And if the kids do the challenge and then tag us on Twitter with their parents' permission, they could win a book. So here are some of the other ones. I said this is Dr. Lim over here. This is Fabien Cousteau, who is of course the grandson of Jacques Cousteau. And who I am honored to have a book with. He was in my Astronaut Aquanaut book. This is the two of us at the Library of Congress's National Book Festival when we presented there last year. This is Dr. Kelsey Leonard. She is an indigenous water scientist. So she talks about how to restore your connection to water. We have a scientist here, how can we protect sea turtles? And we have Dr. Chloe Malbruno, who is she is actually in charge or works at the CERN antimatter factory. Oh, sorry, this is Carly Jackson, I guess, sea turtles. I forgot her name for a minute. She's awesome. In fact, she's down in South Florida. She goes to school down in South Florida. And, but this is Chloe Malbruno. She runs the antimatter factory at CERN, which let me just tell you was really awesome to see. This is astronaut Katie Coleman and how do you live in space? But then we have STEAM topics. This is Grammy Award winning conductor and composer Eric Whitacre, who wrote a symphony for Deep Field, which is the big discovery that the Hubble Space Telescope made about the 3,000 galaxies. This is Vanessa Brantley Newton. She is an author illustrator, and it's how do you bring your illustrated characters to life, which is also STEAM. And then this one is Dr. Suzanne Lomax. How can you use science to restore priceless masterpieces? She works at the National Gallery of Art, and she's an organic chemist, and she uses organic chemistry on her painting. So we have some pretty cool topics. Again, I'm honored that I got to meet all of these people. And so far we've been doing pretty well. The All Digital School just named us #1 of their 10 best podcasts for home learning, which was really cool and great timing, right? Like they literally gave it to us at the beginning of the week, and now I'm giving the presentation today. So that was nice. That was not planned, but it was nice. And then we've turned some of these into teacher packs. So on Teacher Pay Teachers, we've turned them into a lesson, podcast, and challenge. Most of these are for 4th and 5th graders, but we're going to start on some middle school packs too. Just if you're interested, you know, I encourage you to take a listen or listen to any of these podcasts, not just mine. You know, and look at some of these other resources. And finally, there's Reading with Your Kids is another podcast, and they have STEM Tuesday. Now, if you've heard me talk before, you might have heard me talk about STEM Tuesday. STEM Tuesday is a blog I created with a bunch of amazing award-winning STEM authors. And it's a great literary resource if you're looking for STEM and literacy. We highlight middle grade, so like 3rd grade and up STEM books. And what we do is every month has a topic. So we might have a topic about, let's see, space science. And the first week is a book list. And the second 2 weeks are actually activities that you can do in the classroom or at home. And the last week is an interview with the author, and we do a book giveaway. And if you want to win the book, let me just tell you, we only have like maybe 6 people that ever enter per week. Go to our website and just put your name or leave a comment on the 4th week of the month, and you can enter to win this book. So the STEM Tuesday is on the Reading with Your Kids, which is also a great podcast. That the podcast Reading with Your Kids is really designed more for kind of adults or families because it highlights authors. But it's a great way, as I said, to tie together STEM and literacy. So that's another way you can do. Finally, if you really want to get into podcasts or videos, you can encourage the kids to create their own. Now, you know, this might not be something you do in your classroom, like in the classroom, but this is, of course, for the older kids. You know, it's a way for them to tap into their own creativity. I mean, if they are virtual learning, they are on you know, this all the time, why not create their own podcasts? It's a way to explore science concepts. This is the NASA, literally, there is a do-it-yourself podcast, which is so cool. And this is the website for it. And it goes through step by step, and it allows you to download NASA video or audio clips. So just think, while I'm talking, instead of, you know, having my boring background here with my office, I could have like rockets going off and making all these sounds and everything. I mean, I know that you probably have some students who would just love to do a lot of this stuff. So you could give this to them as a project, maybe, or they can create their own project or podcast. You know, right now we're on Zoom and we're recording, and this is actually how I create my podcast. We record it on Zoom. And then we have my partner, co-host, Jed Doherty. He's the one who has the editing software. He said the best ones, the easiest ones to use are like GarageBand or Audacity. Now, I will admit, I don't know much about editing, which is why I partnered with him. But he said these are pretty user-friendly and easy to do. Or you can go to this Anchor right here, and on this platform, you can create a podcast, edit, and post it. It helps you do all of these things. Same thing for this Podbean thing. Or you can create a video out of PowerPoint slides with audio. Apparently, you can do that through Microsoft Word and all these kind of things. And then I don't have to tell you, I'm sure, about Flipgrid. But these are kind of cool ways to get kids, instead of maybe having to rate papers or do other things, this would be a different way for them to present, you know, their information to each other. Okay, so I'm going to, right now, if you can, type your name in the chat for a chance to win these 2 books. And then I'm gonna give you my information slide, and then I'm gonna come out of this so that I can read all of, and then we'll go through all of the chat. Okay? All right.
I
So type,
have it on the wheel of names. So if you want me to share my screen, I can just spin the wheel.
oh, you already did it. Yes, please do.
All right, so then let me put it up. Okay, all right, here we go. Turn on.
Lifelong learner.
All
Okay.
right.
So if you want to email me through my website, or if you let me share my screen one more time real fast, and I'll show you where you can email me.
Yep.
Can I share mine?
Yep, let me find. You should be able to just, yeah, I'll stop mine.
Okay. There you go. Okay. So lifelong learner, email me, Jennifer at Jennifer Swanson Books, and put in there that you're the one that won the books off the web, you know, off the FAST. This is where you can get in touch with me. Those are on my websites, jenniferswansonbooks.com, Solve It for Kids. Solve It for Kids, this is where, again, you will find all of the links and information that I gave you. Go to solveitforkids.com. There's a teacher tab, and you'll just scroll down, and I think I have it in red. Like, you just click on the file, and the PDF should come up. You can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Jen Swanson Books or KidSolve. And I do virtual school visits. All of that information is on my website. Okay, now I'm gonna go out of here so I can look at some of these comments.
It's probably mostly me commenting on what you were saying, but there was a couple.
Okay.
Really impressed with them. That they could create the lessons.
Okay.
Yeah, there were.
If anybody has any questions, I can take some questions too. You guys can unmute yourself if you want and do questions. I mean, I'm fine with that. Anybody want to do that? Or are you all like, dude, it's 7:30. We are so done. I don't see, does anybody have any questions? Nope. Really great, thank you. Okay, All right. Well, you know what? Then you all get out early. Thank you so much. I see all that. Really great. I'm glad. I know you guys are so busy, so all I wanted to do is give you lots of resources. If you don't use any of them, that's totally fine. But, I just sorted through a bunch, and hopefully that will help you with some stuff. Come find me on Twitter and Instagram and say hi. And I just want to say you guys are doing an awesome job, and go science. Thank you, Amy, for having me on this. It's been fun.
All right, thank you. I'm going to stop recording now.